I tell you, I was pale. I was white.
You must.
I was white. Kumbe, I'm bleeding and I'm pregnant. So now, when I was taken to hospital and they remembered I was there a month earlier with the issue of bleeding, okay, and the tests are confirming pregnancy, and I'm pregnant and I am malaria positive. I had come from the field, Mombasa. I had gone with the officers in Mombasa. So I had a month in Mombasa, and now, so I was treated. Now to treat me for malaria, and I'm pregnant, and I had been, those complications. So, but okay, I was treated. The doctor wanted to admit me, but I refused. I said, you give me the drugs, I'll take from the house. I'll mix it with the prayer. For me, when I take drugs, when the pain is too much and my faith is going down, as long as the faith is afloat, don't take the drugs. But I don't encourage our viewers to go my way. So, okay, I said the doctors advised where I came from that I should not even try to get pregnant. So
they are all warning you not to become pregnant.
And so this now doctor at Kayole Hospital, the gyne I was seeing said from what he can see of my blood, I have incompatibility issues, that I should be comfortable with the girl, that we concentrate on the girl now.
The one that is alive now.
Yes, the one that is alive.
Yes.
You see that my life, I'm also risking my life. That I'm also risking, because I have now the history of hypertension. He said, you are also risking. It could be a time bomb, that it's going to shoot one day, and it will kill you, because it will come unexpectedly, and sometimes it's gestational. So, okay, I said, me, I will live my life. I'll continue living my life until where we shall meet with whatever is coming, and we meet, we wrestle.
So that is the time now they've said about the blood group.
That's the time now. That's the first time he mentioned. Now it was mentioned.
Had you been tested for your blood group? Had you known your blood group before?
Yes, I had known my blood group. I'm Rhesus positive, but it's a rare Rhesus that behaves negative. That's why the incompatibility.
Okay.
I have a rare Rhesus. And it's not the common one. It's very rare, and that is what was causing now trouble.
Okay.
So he said this rare one, because it was not noted at the beginning, there was a jab, there's an injection I was supposed to have been given.
Yes,
so
Dr. Boga talked about it.
Now that I was not given,
yes,
and I was advanced in deliveries, that I should not try again. It's more riskier now than when it was, when I was getting into it. So now I said, because there is nothing I can do about that, and I didn't create myself, I'll continue with my life. I'll continue living. When something crops up, we wrestle. If I win, I move on.
So now we have 3 babies lost.
Yes.
And 1 alive.
Yes, and 1 alive.
Yes.
So now, and because I did, when I have a tendency, when I'm going through a lot, I go back to class. I get busier. When I'm going through something difficult, I get busier.
A kind of, you're dealing with the pain that way.
Yeah. I think that's
now, as a psychologist talking, you numb your pain.
Yes.
By being workaholic.
Yes, yes.
Or even being very busy.
Yes.
Yes.
That's how now I enrolled for higher diploma classes. Now I was doing my higher diploma, and I enrolled for higher diploma, and I also took a course at KIA, Kenya Institute of Administration, yes. Now KSG.
Yes.
And I was also working, and the department I was working was very busy. And now I have a baby that is unwell.
Yes.
That I'm continuing nursing.
Yes.
And so I got even more busier now, because when I'm not in church, I went back. I went back.
You opened the Bible again.
So now I was in church.
Yes.
And I have the baby, and I am at the KIA, and I am doing my higher diploma, NEC, and I was all over. So I got even busier. So I forgot that, you hardly have time to think of what the doctor was.
You just suppress it behind.
Yeah. So I conceived, and I didn't know I have conceived in
Now the
2008.
fifth.
Now the fifth.
Yes.
She's alive. She just she went to
Amen.
Form 1.
Yes.
She joined Form 1.
Yeah.
A very sweet baby.
Yes.
So I conceived and I didn't know I had conceived. In August 2009, no, 2008, I woke up very sick. I didn't know I woke up very sick, but I realized I was sick when I stood up because at night I was just talking. Kumbe, I'm talking. I was sick and I didn't know I was sick. So I woke up at 4:30. Normally my day starts at 4. It's when I wake up for prayer every day. My day starts at 4 and sometimes at 3. So I woke up for prayer and I prayed. I could not sit up on bed. I just prayed, sleeping. Lying on bed. And as I was getting out at 4:30, I fell. I collapsed. I fell on the bed. And that's why now my husband realized I was very sick. So he called our pastor, our senior pastor, who was also a relative. He called and no, he didn't even call him immediately. I was taken to hospital, Kayole Hospital, because that's where I was going.
Yes.
And when I went, and I was confirmed, they confirmed I was expecting, and 2, I was malaria positive, and 3, because I conceived and I continued receiving my periods again. I don't know what happens, but I continued receiving my periods. But this time they had come very heavy. I had suffered some heavy periods. I think I was bleeding because they could not arrest it. So I went to the facility and it could not be arrested. So I stayed home. I decided, okay, I said, wacha mwagike ishe. When it's over, I'll build another brand. And
Imwagike ishe.
So wakati ilimwagika
itaisha kwa mwili.
Ikiisha nitajenga ingine. I continued. I fed. I said I'll manage with the diet. What will remain, as long as there is some small cells of hemoglobin in that body, I'll build another blood. If the Lord has not taken me home, wacha ishe. I tell you, I was pale. I was white.
You must.
I was white. Kumbe, I'm bleeding and I'm pregnant. So now, when I was taken to hospital and they remembered I was there a month earlier with the issue of bleeding, okay, and the tests are confirming pregnancy, and I'm pregnant and I am malaria positive. I had come from the field, Mombasa. I had gone with the officers at Mombasa. So I had a month in Mombasa, and now, so I was treated. Now to treat me for malaria, and I'm pregnant, and I had been, those complications. So, but okay, I was treated. The doctor wanted to admit me, but I refused. I said, you give me the drugs, I'll take from the house. I'll mix it with the prayer. For me, when I take drugs, when the pain is too much and my faith is going down, as long as the faith is afloat, don't take the drugs. But I don't encourage our viewers to go my way unless you know yourself.
I think that is very important.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't encourage you to not take the drugs. Please take the drugs. Please follow the doctor's advice religiously. It's very important. But for me, that's how I deal with it. It's how I deal with my faith. If the faith is going down and the pain is still there, I get the drugs very fast. Nobody tells me to go to hospital. I'm the one who looks for them. I know, I know the best doctors.
Yes.
So I went back home. And I even went to work. I have a friend called Regina. God has always blessed me with Reginas in my life. I was working with a friend called Regina. I have another one who is also a pastor now called Regina. So I was working with Regina. She's the one who realized I was very sick. And she said, you can't stay here. You're very sick. We can tell. And she took me back home. And I was home for 2 weeks. But I regained my strength. And I accepted that I was expectant. And I moved on in September 2008. And I went back to KIA.
Kaendelea na masomo.
Na nikaendelea na hii sasa higher diploma ndio nilisitiza, but I was doing I had decided to do my shorthand 120. So I said I would concentrate with the shorthand And I was also doing disaster management at the University of Nairobi. So I decided I was going to do the disaster management and the shorthand 120 once per minute. I deferred the higher diploma. And in January, on 5th of January 2009, the baby was born. I just traveled over for the new year. I decided to travel home for the new year. I'm born in Meru. So I went for the new year. And when I went, I decided just before because of the bleeding, the doctor had advised that I should not expect the EDD because the way the ultrasound was showing, he said I should, it might be prolonged because she had lost that, the word you use, amemwagika, alimwagika. So I might extend the gestational period because of the bleeding. So, but I decided to go to the district hospital. My friends were still there. I had developed, because of being in and out of hospital, I had developed many friends at the hospital.
Yeah.
So I said, wacha nipitie nisalimie my sisters. And I'm around. And I carried my kambuk and went. So when I went, it was at night because I was feeling a lot of heat. I was sweating. I said, this heat is not normal. So I went. Most of the times, sometimes I tell myself this is hypertension because sometimes that is how it was manifesting. So I was going again because of the heat, so that they can check whether the BPs are misbehaving. So I went and I found that it was at night, around midnight, and they had a very busy evening. So the nurses said, after we had chat, and I said, I've come, I'm a civil servant, and I found two friends, and I was like, I've come because I think the BP is misbehaving, and I am that type that doesn't have experienced the labor pains. So I have come so that we can test. If it's the BP, at least we control it. I don't want to lose this baby. If it's not the BP, then I'll go back home. And they didn't even test me. Of course, they tested the BP as well, but they said, let's get you a bed, because you're a civil servant, you're one of us. We get you a bed, and in the morning, we shall test you.
We just observe you.
Yeah, we observe you. Mm-hmm. So where the bed was, there was a lady who was in an abnormal labor. So as then, when you're admitted, those are the personal details. What's your name? Before I say my name, she gives all her names and her husband's names and her father's name. So that the nurse said, we are going to mix up the record. So let's give you a bed. And I was given bed 6. So she ran out to bed 6. And she entered, she went under the bed. And she was lifting the bed. So I thought, if I go and lie on that bed, atatuangusha. So I was left seated at the admission desk. The nurse said, let's have a rest. It's now 2 a.m. Let's have a rest. You can just rest. You go and rest. They took my bag to that bed. So they said, let's have a rest. We shall see in the morning if there is anything that needs our attention. So they slept. No sooner had they slept than the baby came. I don't know what happened, but I just she came as I was seated at the admission desk. But I picked, I don't even have a voice to shout and scream, and she just came.
That's the 6th now.
The 5th.
The 5th pregnancy.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Now the second baby.
The second live baby.
The second baby is alive. She's got Favor.
Amen.
Nelias Nawendo.
Amen.
So she's now in Form 1. I just picked the baby and I spoke words of life to her, and I just removed my dress and covered the baby. I crawled myself to the labor ward, and I weighed the baby, and I noted somewhere, and I noted time. It was 3:35 a.m. I noted the time I delivered. So when the nurses came in the morning, I was lying there with my baby.
The placenta,
everything was there, but they were very fast. They said, please. Okay, one thing they asked, and I commend them for that, is that whether she fell on the floor. But I delivered on the floor.
You were on the floor.
I was on the floor, but I picked her myself. So I explained what I did, and they continued with the work and they processed us and we were taken to the postnatal ward and they gave me something hot to drink. I commend them for that because district hospitals then were chaotic. You could deliver and wait for your people shivering. And now you can imagine, I was alone. I didn't have a bag there. My bag was at the antenatal room, the bed 6. So I removed my dress and I covered the baby. For this baby,
Yeah.
like for this fifth baby,
Yes.
I breastfed exclusively for 2 years.
Okay.
So my body stayed 2 years.
Okay.
And immediately we stopped and she went to school. I took her to a daycare. The following month, now my periods came back.
And you conceived?
And I conceived.
Okay.
So when I conceived,
Yes.
when I conceived,
yeah, doctors will be watching this and they can, because the two of us, we are not doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for them, they know what that
so
all
when
means.
I conceived,
Yeah.
for praise, because now there's this guy I was seeing. He was now taking me through some lessons.
Yes.
So I knew I needed to start immediately,
Ah.
and it is the only pregnancy I was disciplined.
Okay.
Because I started at 2 months. Actually, I went and they were like, why have you come?
Yeah.
And I was eager. I wanted to walk the journey.
Yes.
And I wanted to discover more of what was happening.
Yes.
Because now my
And
babies
because
used
of
to
your
turn
history.
blue. Yeah,
Yes.
now the doctors now are telling me what this blue means, where it's coming from. So now I was eager to walk the journey. And when we started, I started the ANCs at Kasarani. I was seeing a guy, and I continue normally. When I'm expecting, I'm a very happy woman, but I am not very talkative. Not like now. I don't.
You don't talk at that time.
I don't talk at that time. I
Yeah.
am more in prayer because that's a different ministry. When a woman is expectant, especially women of God, it's always good to slow down on what you're doing and have more time to pray and connect with the baby and talk to them, minister to them when they are in the womb. You are their first pastor.
Yes.
So what you impart on them, because now when they are there, they can hear and they follow. So I talk to them.
Communication.
For me,
yes.
I talk to my babies and I tell them, please don't refuse to eat anything. Let us eat everything the Lord gives us.
I also have spoken to my babies.
So we eat.
Yes.
We eat and we
Yes.
talk. And I say, please don't refuse to go to work. Please don't be bad to people. Don't terrorize people. Love them. And my children love people to death.
Okay.
We accommodate. So I started very early. And I started my ANCs. And it's very important to start your ANCs early. Whether you have a problem or not, interventions early are very good because there are those things that crop up as you move on in the journey of gestation. The gestational hypertension, the gestational diabetes, there are those things that crop up. Sometimes for not all of us have had a chance to live a holy life when you are just pre-motherhood. And now when you start the journey of motherhood, still going early, the VDRL test, it may reveal some issues that can be arrested early. So you don't have to wait until you're 5 months, 7 months. But previously I used to go to start my ANCs late because I didn't like the reports that were coming from from the medics.
Okay.
But with this last baby, my acting last born, I started very early. And when she was 30 weeks is like 5 months, 6 months.
No, 30 weeks is
Like
slightly over
6
7 months.
When she was 30 weeks, I fell sick.
Because 28 is 7 months. So it's slightly 2 weeks into
Because
the 8th month.
It's 30 over 40, yeah.
Yes, it's the 8th
Yeah.
month, yeah.
When she was 30 weeks,
Yes.
I developed some complications. I was in the office and I noted like I was catching some flu. So I decided I was not going to buy some Puritans over the counter. I was going to see a doctor. And I passed by the nearest clinic. And when I went, the doctor was alarmed. And he said he needed to refer me to Kenyatta. And he wanted to take me himself. We had been introduced now the medical cover, the civil servants medical cover. And I thought, I don't like hospitals that much. So I said, I didn't want, and he said, no, this is serious. Your BP is very high. And you have all the signs of a miscarriage. So I said, I don't want to lose this baby. I've prayed for this baby. I've been and I started clinics early. I was carrying my clinic book even to work because anytime I knew I could
go to hospital.
Yes.
Yes.
So I handed the book and he looked at it and said, you have all the signs of a miscarriage. So we are going to hospital. And I said, I will not go. So then he said he was not going to let me leave that facility. So I said, let me allow me to make a call to call the father. So I went out to make a call. And I took my bag and I went home.
Please.
I took my bag and went home.
You are calling and you ran away from the doctor, and the doctor knows what is happening.
So when I went home, I talked to him, I explained what I heard the doctor was saying, and I showed I end the records. So I said, I've come so that we can pray. And after we have prayed, I walk myself to the nearest health facility and be admitted there. But I was not going to let myself be admitted without coming home and we pray first. Because I didn't want to, I said, praying in the hospital is not the same as praying here in our house. This is our altar. So I was going so that we could pray. And I went. It was on 8th of February. I said, I've come so that we could pray. And I went and we prayed. So now I walked myself to the biggest near where I was.
Yes.
And we went and the doctors were like, you have all the signs of a miscarriage.
Again, confirming what the doctor said.
So they said, but let's run some tests. So we went for ultrasounds. We did like 3 ultrasounds. The baby could not be felt. And there were no cardiac activities. There was nothing. This letter confirms this. You can, if you are able to read, you can see this is a discharge summary. They're saying that no cardiac. Even as at the time I was being discharged on 14th, on 13th, but I left the hospital on 14th, as this results will confirm. The baby had not been seen, but by the time the BP was misbehaving, you can see the BP. It was really misbehaving. And the baby was now, the time the baby was found, after the 4th, they said they could see the baby, but there were no cardiac activities. So it's like, but he was not playing. You can, if you read, you can see somewhere that I had on edema. The legs, I was swollen. Yeah. I was swollen almost. You could look at me and not know me. Those who knew me, they were coming to the ward and look for me, but they could not because I was swollen. I was swollen. I was so swollen. So you can see the baby was, when the baby was found, was 1.4.
1.491.
Yes. And this is on 14th of February in 2012.
Yes.
So I was given some junior aspirins and some medication.
Yes.
And because now when the baby is not being found, but this is a second, it is on 13th is when the baby was found. But again, we lost the baby in the womb. The cardiac activities and all that could not be found, and the baby could not be found again. They could not be traced again. So I was discharged and referred to Kenyatta if I was to go to Kenyatta. That's why you can see.
If you had to go to Kenyatta?
Yes.
Because you didn't go?
I was told if I could seek attention at Kenyatta. So you can see that the receipts, I delivered according to the receipts. Because now the baby is not seen. There is no baby in the womb. There are no cardiac activities to suggest there is a baby, there is a fetus. And I was in the hospital. So I was charged like I delivered. So I left the hospital and I went, the following day I went to Kenyatta. And when I went to Kenyatta, I was booked for Nairobi University, the research center. So I started now, Kenyatta, they are the ones now who told me exactly what was happening. Because the baby, I was continuing to swell. Kumbe, the antibodies and the antigens of the baby, they were fighting. So the body was like, in a layman's language, eating the baby.
Attacking the baby.
Yes. That's why I'm saying in a layman's language.
Yes.
Because if you're told in African language, mwili unakula mtoto. mwili wako unakula.
Yeah, but
The body fights the
yes,
the baby.
like the antibodies because of the rhesus.
Yes.
The factor.
Yes. Because of the rhesus factor. So I was booked for a scan called the BPP. It's like the machine walks around the whole body and is in
looking for the baby.
Looking for the baby. So when the baby was found, I was actually there was no amniotic fluid. There, almost everything was going wrong. And the doctor said, if we have to save the mother, we admit her for a CS and they remove this baby at 30 weeks. So I was admitted on 21st of February, so that I could. This is it. Kenyatta National Hospital, because still they could not. The cardiac activities were not there, and they needed to separate whatever was remaining. And I don't know what was happening also. Now it's then the doctors explained that you have a rare rhesus. So now I was explained to, and they fight with the baby. And so it's like, especially if the baby takes your factor, and sometimes they don't agree. The body, the antigens and the antibodies don't agree. So the body fights the baby. So the baby is, now they needed to save the baby. This is on 21st of February, and the baby now was delivered at Mama Lucy, on the paper, was delivered at KNH.
This is a birth notification.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a birth notification.
Yes.
Of 22nd of February.
Yes, 2012. Yes.
So when this baby was delivered, is it still a very tiny baby?
1 point.
Yes. But she cried. She screamed. And she opened her eyes. Actually, I was in prayer. I had prayed the whole day. I had prayed. So I was fasting, but I was, the doctors wanted me to be starved for theater. But now in the day, I had starved myself for prayer. And now in the night when I was admitted, I had to be starved for theater.
Theater, yeah.
So I delivered this baby and I just blacked out.
Normally?
Yes, normally.
Okay.
We were going to the theater, and she just came out. we were going to the theater because they wanted, without amniotic fluid, as they were explaining. I didn't have amniotic, and the BP ilikuwa inamchoma. It was
still high.
Yes, it was still high, so it was affecting her. And she was delivered with a haggard skin. She looked agashosho. She looked old. She looked very old.
You are laughing, yes.
And after 1 week,
yes,
she's shed off that skin, that outer skin, all of it. Alibambuka, like they called it eczema, eczema or something. I may not pronounce it the medical way,
yes,
but
yes, yes.
Those who are hearing, they know what it means.
Yes.
And
tough skin,
yes,
very rough.
Yes,
rough
that's
skin.
very rough skin.
Yes.
They all fell.
Yeah.
And we lived normally after her delivery, and she was handling weight well. And I breastfed exclusively and faithfully and religiously, without mixing with anything, for 7 months. And at 6 months, I noted she stopped adding weight. So, and she started developing now the flu. By then I was preparing to get back to, when I went back to work after 6 months, because my maternity leave and the normal leave combined, they went to 6 months. So when I went back to work, within a week, she developed a flu. And I thought it's because I'm ameachwa. It's because we've now...
That separation.
Yes.
Yes.
So I slowed down, but I went to hospital and I was admitted at Mama Lucy.
With the baby?
With the baby.
Mm.
For pneumonia. They said it's severe pneumonia.
And pneumonias have been...
Yes.
Pneumonia had...
So when they said severe pneumonia, again the bell rang. Because she had swollen feet, they call it pendoedema. She had swollen and she was turning the pale, the darkish bluish, and she had all, I didn't like it. So I was admitted at Mama Lucy Kibake again with her. And by the time we were being discharged, when we were discharged, she was more sicker, if there is a word. After 10 days in the ward, she was sicker than when we went there. You can see we were discharged when she still had a bilateral crepes that you could feel them, that I was placing my hand on her back and I could feel the palpitations. She was even sicker than when we went there. And now we were being discharged.
And you were being discharged.
Yes, you can read. By the time we were being discharged. So I went and I finished the drugs I had been given at Mama Lucy. And immediately we finished the drugs and she was not improving, I took myself to Kenyatta. I carried this baby to Kenyatta. We went to KNH. And when we went, I decided now I would rather sell everything I have. So I went to the doctor and I went to COC. COC is a private wing of Kenyatta Hospital, but they're outpatient. So I went to COC and I was ready to pay with my money if NHIF will not cater for that. So I walked myself to COC, and the first doctor I found, I went and gave him the baby. I was like, so he was not, and okay, I think he also looked at me and he looked at the baby and he reconciled, and all the clinical manifestations showed him what it was. So he took the baby, which is very rare for them. He took the baby, he looked at me and he said, Mom, sit down. And I sat down. So he said, what about the baby? I said, nimekupea. Nimekupea. You treat her.
Umeletea daktari mtoto.
I've given him as a gift. Treat, akipona, anaweza kaa na yeye, but as long as she's well. Because, I was looking at those colors and the way he was changing, and I had seen it
Before.
Yes.
And it wasn't good.
It wasn't good. So I'd rather give him, nimpe as a gift akiwa hai. So at the back of my mind, I'll know mtoto wangu ako hai pahali na daktari. And I was ready to leave that baby. So he said, okay, now explain. Just tell me what is the problem. I said, I've come because I was at Mama Lucy and I gave this letter. And he looked at it, he said, so I said, so he was like, now why have you come? Because I see you were in hospital last week and you were discharged last week. I said, we have finished the drugs and the baby is not improving. And I said, I'm from an Arabic, my grandfather was an Arab. So I'm from the Arabic roots. And our babies, especially even those that are alive today, we have pink ribs. Our ribs looks like you've applied some makeup, which we don't do, the lipstick, and we are very natural. So I said, all my babies have these lips, but and they were good previously before you were admitted, but now look at them, they are darkish. I said, I thought it was even black. I said, this is blackness, and said, this is not blackness. Your baby is cardiac. I said, what do you mean by cardiac? According to me, the cardiac people are the fat people and the old men, and
those who have issues with the heart.
Yes, not a baby. And I was.
And that, how old is the baby at this point?
By then she was around 8 months.
Okay.
7-8 months. So I said, the doctor said she's cardiac. I asked, what do you mean by cardiac? The doctor was like, she has a heart disease. It's congenital. Congenital means she was born with it and it's known. It's something that is known.
Yes.
So now that is when I confirmed that all along, even the doctors that were seeing my babies die, they knew what was killing them. But because I was in the district maybe, and I don't know, but so as this young man was explaining, by then he was processing the admission. I was too weak even to start, even to hold the baby. So I just sat there and he looked at the file. He said, I'm booking you for an echo. And now he started processing, and we were taken to the ward, and Dr. Maina was called, and the echo confirmed it. And he said, actually, because it was not noted early, a lot has happened. It has affected other parts of the body. And it's already, this is a cardiomegaly, meaning the heart is also enlarged to accommodate now. So a lot of issues started coming up, and that was the beginning of the longest journey I made to and from Kenyatta. But I thank God, here we are today. She's Praise is well. Her name is Praise. When she was born that night, I called her Praise. I said, the praises of the Lord are heard very far because of her delivery and her birth. Someone who had died in the womb and who could not be heard and who could not be seen. I said, the praises of the Lord have been heard very far and will be heard very far because of her delivery. And I called her Praise. Her name is Praise Excellence Liseli. And she has, today she's well. She runs for the Bibleless. I didn't carry a certificate, but maybe I can send.
How old is she now?
She turned 11.
Wow.
She turned 11 last month.
Yes.
On 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
She runs for the heart. She runs Mata runs, and she does the run for the Bibleless. She has certificates. Someone who had a heart problem is now running.
Giving back.
Yes.
Yes.
And we are very happy.
Yes.
They know their story, and so we serve the Lord together. We serve the Lord together. They know their story. They know that our God is not to be joked with. It's not to be played with. We are very serious in the ministry because now we know where the Lord has gotten us from.
Yes.
And actually, Praise is the one who reminds me that, Mom, we've not had a Shabbat Shalom for so long. When we take long, we serve Holy Communion in our house.
Yes.
So when we've not done it for a longer period, she reminds me, Mom, we cannot only rely with what we are getting in church.
Yes.
We need to read our Bible and do this.
Our family altar.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we thank God. That's when I realize now it is her birth that confirmed. Now that explained everything. That is what has been happening. It is the rare Rhesus factor that has been affecting them. It also. And actually, I also think the early intervention, because I started very early, actually it is the only birth that I've delivered with over 11 point something liters of blood or whatever measurement that is.
Yes.
It is the only delivery that
HB was 11.
Over 11.
Over
11 point something, yeah.
Yes.
It was very good.
Okay.
But even I had started late.
Yes.
And I'm telling you this one, I religiously followed the doctors.
Yes.
If I'm told kula vitu ziko na iron, I am on madhoroko and terere and spinach and everything I know is rich in iron.
Yes.
And to supplement now the feso and the folic.
Yes.
And what the doctors, because those are some of the interventions.
Yes.
And I went through the tetanuses and everything religiously and
all the vaccinations that need to be done.
Yes, very well.
Yes.
And even for her.
Yes.
She breastfed for 5 years. But
I'm sure the doctors are happy with you.
She breastfed for 5 years.
Yes.
She would come from school and come and eat and nyonyo. I'm still proud of. She's
eat and nyonyo.
Yes, she'd come and
breastfeed.
You could not make a mistake of breastfeeding her fast.
She eats fast.
She eats fast.
Then she breastfeeds.
And she knew.
Yes.
Anakuja and she would run and eat. Even to date, we have no issues with her feeding.
She eats well.
She eats well.
Okay.
She eats well.
Okay.
And so
now we are at the 6th baby.
Yes.
Lost 3.
Lost 3 and 3 are alive.
3 are alive.
Yes.
Glory to God.
Yes.
So we have 3.
Yes.
Now there is this praise, this alive third baby, the tentative lastborn, the waiting. You say waiting. Actually,
lastborn. When Ines, Nelly, as we call her Ness.
Okay.
When Ness was delivered in 2009, something I forgot. When the nurses came, we were told to sign that they saw 1 baby, because the placenta was for 2 babies. So the bleeding I had, remember the bleeding when I was expectant? The bleeding that I said, wacha ikiisha tutajenga ingine.
Yes.
So I lost 1 baby there.
So it was like a twin.
They were twins. So that's why the nurses said we sign that they saw 1 baby.
So now let's count these babies now, Esther. So we have the first son.
The second
son dead. The third
pregnancy, we didn't know what it was.
Lost.
Yes.
4th.
Yes.
Twins.
Yeah.
Twins.
One survived.
One survived.
So delivery.
So these are 2. So those are two. Those are 5. Then there is
the first and the second. The first was the son, the stillbirth son.
Yes.
The second is a son.
Yes.
The third is a baby Joy. The fourth is a pregnancy that was lost there 3-4 months.
That was the double?
Yes. No, that is the single.
Okay.
The one we don't know whether it's a after Joy now.
Yes.
So that Ness is conceived.
Yes.
Now Ness there were 2. Remember I told you of the breeding?
Yes.
Where I was telling you that nilisema wacha imwagike ishe.
Yes.
Ikiisha tujenge damu ingine.
Yes.
So wakati wa kumwagika mtoto mmoja ndiye alimwagika akaisha.
So we are like saying lost 4 babies.
Yes.
Lost 4
because
babies.
at delivery, the placenta manifested that there were 2 babies. But the nurses saw one.
Now the live one.
The live one.
Okay.
But I'm the one who delivered and I was alone there. So there is no way my baby would have been stolen.
So it was one baby.
It was one baby.
That you delivered.
Yes.
But the placenta is saying there were supposed to be 2.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's get to Praise, the tentative lastborn. She still has another condition to us.
Now the heart.
Yes.
Now it is now we've arrived at the point where now the doctor said this is a cardiac baby.
Yes.
Now the journey started.
Yes.
Another journey of faith.
Yes. Yes.
At this journey of faith of now the cardiac baby, now we were admitted and we were in Kenyatta for, according to the echoes and the test, and as we were walking, the doctor, initially, you remember I've told you, that the doctor said because it was not discovered early, it has affected other parts of the body because she was turning yellow and she's still blue and she was turning. So the liver was affected, the kidney was affected, and actually I noted there was a problem because she was not adding. She stopped adding weight for 2 months. That is why it is, most mothers, after the baby is after the third, the 3 first injections, now they are done double, 2, but for 3 months, at 6 weeks, at 10 weeks, and at 14 weeks. So some, they stop taking them for clinics until the 9th clinic when they go for the measles vaccine.
Yes.
And they stop it at that. But for me, I don't. I take them, if you look at my clinic counts for the babies, I take them for clinics for 2 years, religiously, every month. So even after the 14 weeks, I continued monitoring. And by the 6 months, after 6 months, that's when I noted she stopped adding weight. So by this time I'm going to the hospital, I am complaining of she's not adding weight. And I'm the one who is, and so the doctor was like, tell me the feeding program, how you feed. So I explained how I feed and it was comfortable. Even the nutritionists were okay with my feeding. But now the issue, so I said she's not adding weight. She has swollen feet. She has she has these crepes. They are calling them crepes, and she's turning colors. And I'm the one who was explaining now. So we were admitted, and the echo now confirmed it was congenital, meaning she was born with that condition, and it's a known condition. It's a known medical condition. So we were admitted at Kenyatta, and we started the journey. So the doctors were not sure we could pass she will see the first birthday. Actually, I was told, according to, it's not that you are not told bluntly, this is it.
Yes.
But by 9th of January, she was not to pass that mark.
To be alive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And on 1st of January 2013, she was hit by a cardiac arrest. And we lost her. We lost her on 1st of January 2013. It's even in Hope FM. They prayed. It was my sister sent it to Hope FM when she woke up. And those pastors prayed for us. And a lot of people are praying. I know I'm prayerful, but sometimes I think it's not only me who was praying. So because we were in the ward, and I was feeding her with the feeding tubes, and she was on oxygen, and and she was wired, the wiring. She was connected the monitors.
I
And
can imagine the
she's
picture.
there. She was not turning. So she just woke up. I just saw her open her eyes, and she started showing me with her tongue. And I knew she wanted either to eat, and because she had not been feeding. When I fed her, and she now through the mouth, and she ate, and I was like, you cannot eat your last. Something reacted in my brain, and was like, this one, she's eating her last meal. And I said, you cannot eat your last meal.
You eat more.
You'll eat more. This is not your last meal. And I said, you shall live your life to the fullness. And I started rebuking the spirit of death. And I said, Lord, I seal the exit, every exit point in Kenyatta National Hospital, that there is no soul that shall escape this hospital as long as this one. And I know.
So you are refusing with the baby. You kind of sealing the gates of the hospital.
Of this hospital.
That the child's soul does not go.
So actually, when she, because she just stretched it, I screamed and I called the sister. I still remember the sister today. She used to call her praise and worship. I said, what's wrong with the praise and worship? He said, praise and worship is gone. And she came and she was like, ya Mungu, she's gone. And she took the baby and they called the doctors. And I still remember that night, how the doctors converged and they were talking and they were like, why were you the one feeding her personally instead of nurses? Why are you the one that gave her drugs? And I said, that's what we've been doing. I've been in the ward long, and she was on they call it sildenafil. It's another one that is a generic word for Viagra. And she was on very tough heart medication, the Viagra, the digoxin, the Lasix, some of those tough.
The Viagra has other purposes.
Actually, Viagra is for heart patients. Now, the most funny thing is that there is no Viagra for babies and Viagra for grown-up people. Let me call them men because they're the ones who abuse it. Actually, now what you're thinking is a drug abuse. Now, what you're thinking about the Viagra,
what I've heard,
is drug abuse.
Yes.
It's part of substance. That's why it's substance abuse, not drug abuse. So now, my praise, we are now in hospital, and we admitted, and she's on oxygen, and she's on every wire that needs to be wired to a monitor.
Yeah.
And the oxygen uptake was very low. And temperature was low and everything was low, and she's hit by a cardiac arrest on 1st of January 2013, and she's gone. And while she was down there, because the doctors started trying to resuscitate her, and it was proving difficult. And the doctors said, we've lost her, and they've done everything, what they do, and they called the father to come and pick me. So as they left the cupboard there, I started praying. I was not hysteric. I normally don't panic. I'm a very calm person when we are in storm. So I didn't panic. I didn't scream. Normally mothers would scream. I exercised my faith. I remember the first death now of my son Liwell. I held the body from 6 p.m. until 6 a.m. in the morning.
12 hours.
Waiting for God
12 hours.
to revive him.
Those
so
are
now,
12 hours.
Yes. Now here is praise. And I still remember how I left the hospital. Even at the day of burial, I knew the Lord will raise him up. But he didn't rise up. I didn't give up anyway. So here I am with another body. The doctors have given up and they have gone. The nurses have gone back to their room. And I prayed. I said, Lord, I thank you for this girl. She's not a body. You have slain her so that you can put a new heart in her. And I had read a book of this sister who had a heart condition, and she was connected to a machine, and she died. And when the family was praying so that they can come and accept her death, she went to the Lord, and she found Peter at the gate. And Peter was like, what brought you home so early? And she said, I've come home because what I had, what supported me in the body, stopped functioning. And Peter took her and said, your family is calling you back, so come. And he took her to a store. I was reading in a book. And he took her to a store and was like, pick everything the doctors thought has failed. And she picked a new heart, and she picked those valves, and she picked everything the doctors were saying, and with the guidance in heaven. And she came back, and as the family was saying amen, she woke up. So I remember that, and I prayed with this. I said, Lord, thank you because she is down there. Now remember, the father has been called. He's coming.
Yes.
And I called my sister. There's a sister of mine. She also has the same issues with me. Actually, she has delivered a bouncing baby boy about 3 months ago, or 4 months. So for her, she even had an ectopic pregnancy, a lot of complications. So I called her. We prayed, and as they were coming with, now I called my pastor, and I called my sister, and the hospital called the father of the baby. So as they were coming, I was praying. I said, Lord, thank you for slaying her. She's now down, slain of you, so that you can put everything the doctors have said has failed. Please put a new heart. Please put a new kidney. Please put new kidneys, and repair the liver. Not repair, put new ones. And I prayed, and I went into the realm of the spirit in prayer. By faith, I went up into the realm of the spirit, and I picked the heart, and I picked the kidney, and I picked the valves and everything the doctors had said is not functioning. And I picked the lungs because her lungs were very wet. And I picked everything the doctors thought had failed. And I said, now she's down here. This is our theater. Please plant them. Put a new heart and put. Now the doctors, we were exploring the options of going to, but now her weight was very small. I didn't carry her book, but at about a year, she was still at 3 kgs, 3 point something. So she had gone down she was bad, and it was not a good situation. It was not a good body to look at. So I said, put even the muscles. I picked even the muscles. Today she's a kaphatica baby, and I remember how I prayed for the muscles.
Yes.
So, and the doctors were saying we can do a heart transplant or some open heart surgery. But
after the baby is
before this.
Before the death.
Yeah. Before now, this death of 1st January.
Yes.
We were exploring some ways of help, going to India and with the doctors at KNH, and we were exploring some different options available for us. And I was not worried. Even if I was praying, I was not worried because I knew I am a government officer. So the money that is needed, the government will give me. I'll pay slowly by slowly until I retire. What will not be paid, and we were counting, and it's like we needed 6 million to get a heart transplant. I said the government will give me. If I will not have cleared by the time I'm retiring, she won't be employed to come and continue with the debt. So I was not worried. So even as we were praying, but now as we continued with the echoes and subsequent tests, something happened. And as I was praying now, I knew I was okay. I'll get the heart done and everything. But as we continued with the tests, the doctors realized that she was dextrocardiac. Dextrocardiac means her heart is on the right side. So now that ruled out any other possibility of a heart transplant. And now I knew I had to rely wholly on God. One of the reasons we pray and we don't receive is that we are praying, but we have an alternative in mind. You're praying, but at the back of your subconscious mind, you have an alternative. You are praying for a husband, but at the back of your subconscious mind, you have an alternative, you know.
You are pointing at somebody.
Yes.
The somebody you have identified.
Yes. So now I was praying for her healing. But I knew we shall do a heart transplant. I'm praying for funds, but I know it's not a big deal. After all, yeah.
There is,
and I am at the ministry because as I'm known.
The insurance is there.
The insurance is there. And I was working with the scientists. So I knew I would get the best doctors. I knew I would get the best. I get money. But now when we hit that snag.
Now the heart is pointing to the right.
It was wholly on God. Because, and now, now the hospital was planning on calling Ben Carson, and, they were doing those medical fellowships. But I knew there was no hope for my baby except on God alone. So when I sing this song that sings on Christ alone, my hope
is built on nothing
else.
I
know what it means because I've been there. I've sunk to the bottom, to the top, to the bottommost part. So now, this time as I'm praying, I know if God doesn't do it, nobody else will do it. But I know only God can fix this heart. because he knows where to fix it. Because transplants are done, the hearts are put on the right.
On the left.
On the right. The heart transplant, when a heart transplant,
Oh.
it is implanted on the right so that it is wired to the... It's not that the fourth one is removed.
Okay, all right.
That's why it was
Educate
difficult
us,
for my
educate us.
baby. It's implanted on the right because your heart is on the left. So this one is implanted on the right.
And now yours is on the on the right.
Yes. So you don't know where to implant the transplant. So when we are losing her on fast, we know that it's gone.
That's it.
But as I was praying, something happened. She woke up. I saw like something had been thrown at her, and she bumped up, and she bumped up, and I screamed again, and the doctors came again running. They were Hindi, the what, these rare cases.
Yes.
Everybody wants to learn. So they started running to ICU. But now when they take the blood to ICU, the blood shows that she is dead. But I am seeing her, she's breathing. Even if the heart is very far.
It's very faint.
The palpitations, yes, But according to me, she's alive. So I got a bed now again at ICU. And we were taken to ICU. When we went there, the GCOS and to be lit because she's cold.
So that she can be warmed up.
And the doctors told me, please don't be happy. This is a transition because the brain was without oxygen for over 30 minutes. She cannot, if she survives, even if she survives, she's going to be garbage. And I said, no. I've picked what you think is going to be garbage. I've replaced. Now they cannot understand that language because now I'm speaking a language. It's not a scientific language.
You have picked and they don't know from where.
I've picked.
Them, they don't know from where.
And they have been planted and she's back.
And you're telling them I picked.
Yes, and I'm telling them.
Them, they don't know where you picked it from.
Now they can't understand. And I said, please, let's go. And we ran to ICU. So as they were putting the GCOS there, and she was put on cotton wool because she was cold. And she had 30 minutes is not a short time.
It's a
without
lot of
oxygen.
Time. It's a lot
so
of time.
There were 32 minutes. So they said, when brain has been without oxygen for even 20 minutes, it's very dangerous. Even if she survives, she's going to be... And I said, no. This one is she's going to be a governor's wife or a president's wife, and this girl shall live her life to the fullness. I spoke to her about that when I delivered her in this hospital. So she's going to live. And what you thought has failed, I have picked it, and it has been when she was laying down there. And now that's a language nobody understands. A few people can understand. I said, she's here for warmth. Weka kwa hiyo cotton, ufanya hiyo wiring, connect. And I tell you, we were out of ICU within a shorter period than anyone expected. And we were back to the ward. And on the 8th of February 2013, I was discharged from the general ward. Amen. Back to the house. Though now I had 3 clinics a week. But I didn't mind. We were out of the ward and we were doing well. Now we were put on...
And your baby is alive.
And my baby is alive. I have gone home, not with the basins this time, but with the baby. I even left the basins. I didn't carry anything. I just carried my baby and my clothes. I didn't want to carry anything else. Even the thermos flask, I didn't want to carry. When I was discharged, it took them 2 days to do our invoice because it was long. Pages and volumes.
A lot.
Volumes. But I took her home. And I didn't mind going back to Kenyatta at 6 every 3 days a week at Kenyatta. And I didn't mind going for those Viagras. They used to call, Mama, praise. Dawa zimekuja nakimbilia. Today we are not on Viagra. but I took the advice. I was told anytime she has a problem, hata kama ni homa, you have to see a cardiologist. And I do it. Akiwa na homa. But we take care. We live indigenous life, in a Christian life. We are more on natural foods and natural life than now the modern life of the city. We live a village life in the city. And we are happy. We run, we walk, we sing.
She goes to school.
She goes to school. She's doing sign language and she loves football. She was telling me another day she wants to do karate. But sasa akiwa na hata kama ni homa ako nayo, we don't buy medicine over the counter.
No.
We see a cardiologist.
Yes.
Anything small, we still, okay, I monitor her because she was hypertension. It's called pulmonary hypertension. It's what was our biggest challenge, the pulmonary hypertension. But I still monitor, and she knows how to monitor it, and I can tell when it's misbehaving. Sometimes inaendanga juu, tukiletana juu, she's like a big girl, so when she misbehaves, I chastise. And when I do that, it shoots. So yeah, Mom, hata sioni, naambia enda kunywa maji na usome Biblia. So
Alafu nampeleka kwa daktari.
When need be,
okay.
I can tell when she starts changing, but she's okay now.
Okay.
Those changing colors, because this one was even worse because she was turning yellow and blue.
Judas and blue.
She was turning the yellow and the blue, and now it was. My mother, she's a woman of faith.
Yes.
She came to Kenyatta, she looked at her, and her faith disappeared.
Because of what she saw.
Yes. But she quickly regained, and we continued to pray together. My mom has been my intercessor and my pillar in my walk of faith for a very long time. Though she is now sick, I am now her pillar. But she really encouraged me at that juncture.
Okay.
Especially when she said, wow, the previous blues were better than what I am seeing now. What is this? Is this purple? Because when the two colors combine now. But we are happy. We thank God for the far we have come, and we are going far. This testimony, I promised the Lord back in 2003 that He healed me of, I said, Lord, heal me of this hypertension, heal me of this infertility. And this testimony will be heard by the family of faith, the family of believers, and it will encourage many, and many will love you for this. They will know it's true, you are alive, and you are real. The Lord is so real. The Lord is so real.
He is.
Yes.
He is.
In my walk with Him, I can attest to that. I can reaffirm, because now I'm happy that I'm a mother now.
A mother of 3.
Someone who should not have been a mother.
A mother of live,
yes.
3 live babies.
Yes, my firstborn is in Form 3.
Yes.
And the other one is in Form 1. And baby Praise is in grade 4. Amechelewa kidogo, but I sionagi kama amechelewa.
That's okay.
I'm very happy with
Let her move at her pace.
Yes.
Let her move at her pace.
Yes. She
God.
hears things we can't hear. She sees things we can't see. And we accept it.
Let them walk with God.
Aya, na Mungu anasema, okay, well, I don't know what Mungu talks, how He talks to her.
Yes.
But sometimes some of the things she has said.
Yes. Now, before we come to the close of this very, I don't even know what to call it, because it's really a journey of faith, a journey of scars, a journey that really, I believe, is going to touch lives and help, as your desire is that this testimony gets to heal families, get to heal that mother who is discouraged somewhere. Now, you've talked about your journey and the incompatibility of the Rhesus factor, the effect. You've talked about the hypertension in terms of affecting even the babies. Is there anybody in your family, the larger family, that probably had the same issues in terms of the blood-related issues?
Yes, I think it's something that runs in my maternal family, my maternal relations.
Yes.
My mother's family, my mother's bloodline, they live long. My grandmother died last year in 2022, 116 years old. Her mother died 126 years old. Now my great-grandmother, we saw them. I saw my great-grandmother, and my mother saw her great-grandmother, and my grandmother saw her great-grandmother. So we know our family lineage up to 12 generations back. And nobody had 2 babies. They all had 1 baby, 1 baby, 1 baby. And the one who had 2 babies, only one survived. So it's something, that's me now in my research. And our extended family, from my mother's side, especially her mother's cousins, from her mother, a maternal generation, they've also found that. So I think it's something that runs in it's something genetical. It's a bloodline.
Esther, when I'm listening to you, your journey, it has made you to do something. What is it that you're doing with other families concerning your journey?
I'm not so, I'm not out completely, but I hope to be out soon. But in my own small way, I run a hospital ministry. I go to hospitals, and I'm also planning to go to prisons, because it's not only the loss of babies. There is more loss in life than the babies. Only that the family is the most critical one, because it breaks the fabric, the family fabric, and it also affects the household of faith. But I go to hospitals. I encourage people who are sent to me, who are referred. Referrals are many than even, it's like, it's a full-blown ministry actually.
Yeah.
Because I go to hospitals, I encourage people. In my own circles, I influence, let's go visit this. We visit the hospitals as groups, even as in my small circle of friends at work. We've even been to cancer ward in KNH. I talk to mothers. I encourage the couples that are giving up. I encourage them that are in tears. I talk to women in church, because many, actually we have more unspoken, the hidden tears of people who are looking for a second baby and they cannot get, and they are spending money, and they need to know, they need someone to walk with them. Those that have those delivered kids with challenges like mine, or even different, but it's a challenge, I connect them to donors. Because this one exposed me to donors, several donors, those who take people to Israel for surgeries, those are the locally and international. So, but in my own small circle, I have now found a bigger platform like this one to come out. But people know that those who are near me and those who are around me, and I tell them and they tell others. And every day I'm talking to a person. At least every week I'm doing something. Even if not to many people, to one person. At least I'm touching a few in my own small circles, and encouraging them not to give up, and encouraging them to be stronger because when you have a sickling baby, you need to be stronger for that baby, either for survival or for otherwise. And I prepare them that these are always be ready prepare for the very best, but be ready for the worst. So that if this happens, then you also do not go with, there is more to life than, like I encouraged myself, and I said, I told my mother when the doctor said they are sorry, I may not be able to bring up children. I said I'll serve the Lord. I know people, we still remember people in the Bible who didn't leave a genealogy, that their genealogy reached at them. And we still remember them to date, not because of the many children they gave birth to, but because of their service to community, because of their service to humankind and to God. Today we remember them. That's how we remember Daniel. He didn't have a genealogy. That's how we remember John. And we want to call everybody St. John, because he didn't leave a genealogy. So I said, I'm going to serve the Lord and live for him and encourage people and minister and serve mankind and serve God. And in this, I will be remembered by more. Many people have called their babies Esther, not because I'm related to them, but because I was a source of hope. I talked to them. With my small light, my baby prays. She's called Liseli. Liseli means a frame of light. You know the yellow light that penetrates in the water? It's the Liseli. So with my Kaliseli, I have recurred in the darkness, in the murky waters, and you are able to see a tunnel in that water, and you are able to get to the beach safely. You are able to land and anchor your ship safely. And that's what it means. People have got babies Esther, others have got, not because I'm related to them. Actually, I have not been named by my children, the African naming by Akina Joy.
Yes.
But even before Joyce, I've named me. What do we call this baby? Because we want to name this baby in your honor. Even boys. Yes.
They're called Esther.
Even boys have. So now I twist the name.
so that it's
Yes.
more of a boy.
Yes.
When you're talking about that, it is a small way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not seeing it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing it as a major, major way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even when we go back to the book of Esther,
Mm-hmm.
that your name comes from, Esther saved a generation.
Mm.
She saved her people
Mm.
by just being available and fasting and praying and being available. And
Yes.
what you're doing, you may see as if it's not big. You may see that probably you've not formed or, registered a big organization to do this. But what you're doing, visiting that mother in the hospital, encouraging that mother in the hospital, I think is a great job. And as we come to the close of this this very, very encouraging and informative session, I would like you to look at the camera, encourage a mother somewhere, encourage a family somewhere, give them hope, give them some encouragement that comes from you, that you're seated here, having lost 4 babies, but you have 3 that are there. But it, as you said in the beginning, it has not been a park or a walk in the park. It has thorns. The roses have thorns. You've been pierced. You've been hurt. You've cried tears. Somebody is maybe going through the same thing.
Yes.
Look into that camera
Yes.
and say something to them.
I want to encourage you, brothers and sisters. A man there who has a wife who is always crying at night, you bear the toughest part of the blunt. When you have a wife who cannot deliver, or she's delivering dead babies like me, or she's giving you sickly babies, I want to encourage you, because you're the one that is seeing those tears. I encourage you and tell you, God is real, that you will one day come out of this, that you will come out smiling. Just be strong, be positive, look at things from another perspective. Just sit back, relax, wipe your tears, because in the tears you may not be able to see the tunnel, and you may not be able to see the calling. You may not be able to see the blessing. When you are in tears, you cannot see a blessing. I remember one time when I was crying for my son, and I said, Lord, you have told us to give thanks in everything, but my heart is empty. In the empty, void heart, receive my thanks. There is a thank, even if it's small, I don't know the measure, but I thank you. Myself, I could not touch the thanks, the way you thanks cheerfully. But I said, in the empty, my heart was empty. I said, in the empty heart, receive your thanks. So give God thanks, relax, try to speak in tears and talk to someone. Just have open lines, talk to someone. You will talk in tears, they may not understand. You will talk in tears, they may laugh at you. You may talk in tears and feel like they are not getting it. But someone, open yourself up. Look at things from another perspective, and you'll realize that life is not about babies. I went about my life forgetting the pain and serving God. I concentrated more on God, what He was doing for me, that the gift of life itself and the gift to serve is more than serving. I thought having babies is a ministry. So I said, if He doesn't see me fit to bring up babies, I will serve in my small way. And then when I'm promoted to have babies, I took having babies as a promotion. So serve in your own small way. Encourage, pay fees for someone who has a baby. Just assume this is how I would pay for mom a baby. Now when we get babies, girls, we call them mom. Just assume that this is your mom and pay fees for someone who needs fees. Just buy food for a baby who needs food. Just serve the Lord in your own small way. Be encouraged. Look at things from another light, because you may get your own biological child na akose kukusaidia. That your own biological child may not be a blessing to you, but another child somewhere born by another woman who either gave birth and died or gave birth and left the baby may be a blessing to you in honor of what you are doing as you serve God and as you serve mankind. So look at the bigger picture. Do not concentrate on the pain, however much it is. But at night, like David, you can wet your pillow, and as you wet your pillow, speak to God. That is my encouragement.
Thank you so much, Esther. Thank you for this. I don't feel like adding anything, because I would dilute what you've said. And this is really something that is really deep, very, very deep. Your faith in God and your journey and where God has brought you to at this point. And I believe that this will touch a family. If you would like to get in touch with us, probably so that you can connect with Esther and probably get more help, as she mentioned that she's able to connect families with people that can support in her networks, kindly get in touch with me, 0114 404 200. You can text me, WhatsApp, and then I'll be able to connect you to her. If you'd also want psychological support, because that is not an easy journey, that is an area that probably you'd want more help, psychological help, emotional support, you can still text me on that number. If you would like to get in touch with gynecologists, with doctors, we are working with Doctors Plaza Kiambu, Specialist Doctors Plaza Kiambu. If you text us on that same number, we'll be able to connect you. And kindly, if you are far from Kiambu or somewhere else, there is a doctor near you. There is a facility near you. Kindly go there. If you're a mother and you know that you're losing a baby, like what Esther has said, that there is a family that in her family, they only have one child, probably because of the blood group effect, the Rhesus factor effect. Kindly get in touch with a doctor, and I believe that there will be help. And more so, what she has talked about, her faith in God. I know it works. Until next time, I'd want us to stop there. And remember, Health Now Show is your health friend. God bless you.